Man, that ending just kept fucking going. I think it was like, seriously, like an hour in between like the final button push and hitting the credits here. Really, like, subdued, too. Like, it had like, the conclusion of that boss literally brought me to a tear. A single tear. No, like, from each, though. Just, like, the swelling emotion of the moment, and then an entire hour of, what the fuck, you guys? I mean, I get it, denouement, but Jesus, that just fucking kept going. Not as long as the ending of Yakuza 0, though. Yakuza 0's, you could see the video. It's on my channel. You can find it. The ending to Yakuza 0 was seriously an hour and 40 minutes from the final button press to... No. That's a lie. Like, the ending from the point of no return to like, the last scene was an hour and a half. Or was like an hour and 40, and then, like, everything from the final button press to the final scene was, like, half an hour or something like that. I don't remember now. Now my brain is reconstructing the memory. Anyway, it's over. I beat it. Yeah. I reached out to the truth. Literally, my immediate coming off of the ending thoughts. It's better than Persona 4. Its highs were higher than Persona 4's, but its lows were pretty... I don't know if it ever, like... There were parts in Persona 4 where I was just like literally just skip this whole cutscene, it's so bad. Or, like, dungeons. There are definitely parts of it that dragged. There were definitely parts of it that were like, I would have made a different creative decision at that moment. Man, it's like, my thoughts are not collected at all. I think the part that, like, bummed me out the most, and this is a weird, like, this is my biggest complaint about the game, I guess, so take this as a, like, whatever it says about the game to you, that this is the number one thing I complain about, is when you max out a social link, it's not, like, super fantabulous. That kind of bummed me out a little bit, because, like, when you max out a social link, it just has the exact same music as, when you start the social link. The music that plays, like, Thou art I and I art thou. Dun, 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 dun. All Persona 5 players, oh no! I didn't see in time. Dun, 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 dun. You know, that music, it's the exact same music, and it's like, yeah, you did it. Good job. In Persona 4, when you max out a social link, it's like this fucking heavenly choir that's like... Oh, Stinger? Yeah, Stinger. Here we go. After the credits, Stinger. I can't show it, or Atlas will ban me. She turned on the radio.
All this ain't feeling real to me just yet. Like, am I in a dream, you know?
And it was all a dream.
We're free to do whatever we want, after all.
I guess so. If you want to change the world, all you have to do is just look at it differently. Am I right? And that is what aesthetics are. Yeah.
Ah, voice actor. My character can talk, you guys. My character said a word. Yeah. Do do do. Finn. If you load your clear data, you will be able to inherit some of your progress. Yeah, fuck it. Look at that. Here's final playtime. And yeah, I bumped it down to easy. Sorry, I couldn't beat that fucking final boss without bumping it down. There we go. I want to make sure I'm actually recording the screen. There we go, final time. Oh my god, this is so weird, holding it like this. Final time. "97 hours, 27 minutes. And, including the time I spent bashing my head against the final boss on normal mode. That took like 2 to 3 hours. So, literally 100 hours of Persona 5. This is a game I spent 100 hours playing on my first playthrough, and I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm gonna play New Game Plus, so I feel like end of discussion, right? Enough said. But to continue what I was talking about, when you max out a social link in Persona 4, like the fucking heavenly choir came down and was like, oh, I'll fucking put a clip in because it's so great. And like, music is really important. The like feelings you get from social link maxed out. Insert clip here. And then, compared to maxing out a social link in Persona 5, literally just the same music as starting the social link in the first place. That's a confusing choice to me. It makes me feel like, did they not realize the importance of that music for maxing out a social link? That strikes me as a really bizarre oversight. I mean, during the ending, during the final boss, there are some music cue, like the fucking soundtrack in general is obviously in the like music during that like final sequence, but there are like some cues in there. There's like a little bit of a like just for like a second, it's like, hey, remember this music? Oh no! Made me cry a little bit. Made me all choked up, making me remember things. I love how that fucking. Oh man. So like that's my only big complaint. Needs better music when you max out a social link. Like I uploaded that Futaba the waifu video. When you max out a social link with one of your party members, their persona levels up. That music was great. If they had played that music over the you maxed out this social link part, then there you go. Like it feels so weird that they would have that vaguely sinister music over a completed social link. That's weird to me. I feel like they shouldn't have did that. But that's like literally on the coming off of pressing the button finished watching the credits. That is the only major complaint I have about the game. I struggle to think of anything else to complain about. I mean, in terms of like, the, the only thing I can think of is like there's things that it did compared to the old games that I'm like, oh, I expected them to do that. But I also think like it's a good thing they didn't just do the same thing over and over again, because they had Persona 3 and then they had Persona 4 and they did those things again, and that's what made them stand out in your memory, because like, oh, that's such an iconic moment. Use the myriad of truths in Persona 3 and Persona 4. You don't get the myriad of truths in Persona 5. There's a moment that's that, but you don't use an attack that's literally called the myriad truths. Which makes sense, because it's a difference in tone. I mean, even in this game, they're not called social links, they're called confidants. And it has this, it's explicitly parasitic. I remember talking about how in Persona 3, you can sort of make uh, like observations, that's not the right word, implications, some whatever the word is, you can kind of put it together for yourself that the main character in Persona 3 is kind of a bad person. Not a bad person, but like parasitic in nature, or he's just getting these people to like him so that he can use the power that the social link provides in a way, because he makes decisions and encourages characters that he has social links with to do things that if you'd think like if you were a true friend you would probably do the opposite thing. Like the one that always stands out in my mind is the social link with that athlete, and he's got a fucked up ankle, and if he goes and runs he could fuck up his ankle and break and like become a cripple and never run again. But he's like, oh, I want to run, and one of the choices is like, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should fucking rest and let your ankle. There will be other track meets. It's okay. And he's like, nah. And that reverses the social link. The way to advance the social link is to encourage him to go running and possibly break his leg, because that makes him like you. That makes him like you more. That levels up the social link. It doesn't actually improve his life, though. It's not a supportive choice to make. Whereas in Persona 5, it's explicit. That's the like big difference when it comes to like the tone, to the theme of Persona 5 is it's external. All of the like the themes are externalized compared to Persona 4, which was all internalized. It's introverted versus Persona 5, which is extroverted. But my point is, all the confidants in Persona 5 are explicitly, we are entering an agreement. It's not like, oh, we've become friends. Every single confidant starts with, let's make a deal. You do this for me, and I will give you things in return. It's like an arrangement, a business arrangement, and that like ties into the notion of you being a thief, being kind of an underground law-breaking type, and the entire story is about. It's actually really. I was very captivated by the story from beginning to end. I didn't know where it was going. I mean, I did, but I didn't. You know what I mean? Like after a certain point in the story, I was on the edge of my seat going like, what is happening? What's gonna happen next? I actually don't know. That's such a great feeling. I didn't get spoiled. I don't know how that fucking happened. I got spoiled on like one thing, and it was one of those things where like I glanced at something out of context and I was like, I wish I didn't see that. But then me seeing that caused me to think different things, and thus when moments happened I was still surprised by them. So by and large, I was unspoiled, which is amazing. Because there are definitely moments in this game where if you get spoiled on that shit, that's, like, story ruining. There's, like, 2 or 3 moments where if you know that moment's coming ahead of time, that's, like, the entire game story is kind of fucked up. That's a little bit of exaggeration, but, like, there are big moments where I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't know that. Especially when it's like you think you got spoiled, but then it turns out you didn't get spoiled, and you're still taken by surprise. I am so curious about how they did that in the Japanese version, though. I'm so curious now. No spoilers. No spoilers. But there's something that happens that I'm like, I gotta play this with the Japanese voice now, just to see what's up. Just to see what's up with that. Oh man, I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I'm not gonna spoil. I'm gonna try and be non-spoiler. I guess I've kind of spoiled a few things. You don't use the myriad of truths. That's a little bit of a spoiler, I guess. If you're expecting that, because I was going like, are they gonna do that? Because there were things that I was expecting them to do because of former Persona games that they didn't do. So I was like, that's a good thing. They're not like letting it become formulaic. They're not like they wrote the story first and then like they didn't let themselves get shackled to expectations of the franchise. You know, they didn't do something that might have been considered contrived for the story that they were trying to write just to do something that tied into the former Persona games. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing that it's not like when you follow a series for long enough, it's like the next game, it's like, oh, here's the part where they do this because it's that series. So every single time they got to do this, and then they're like, no, we don't got to do the same thing every time. And I like that. Like they can twist on it. There were twisty parts where they did what you expected them to do, but in an unexpected way, and that's the best way to do those things. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh, this is a little bit of a spoiler, so I don't want to say it. Just skip if you don't want to get spoiled on an incredibly minor thing. But I was going like, oh man, I thought I was playing Persona, not Shin Megami Tensei. What the fuck just happened? They don't have that subtitle anymore. Persona 3 was Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3. Persona 4 was Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4, and then they escaped the label. They escaped the spin-off status. And like Persona 4 was just Persona 4, and then Persona 5 is just Persona 5. It's Atlas Presents Persona 5, not Shin Megami Tensei Persona 5. But this is Shin Megami Tensei Persona 5. There's a moment where it's like, hey, we have exited Persona and entered Shin Megami Tensei. And I'm like, oh shit, what does that mean? You can make some fucking theories about things that happen in that ending and what that means for the wider Shin Megami Tensei timeline. Because, oh my god, if you've seen a fucking timeline of the Shin Megami Tensei series, it's, you thought fucking the Zelda timeline was complicated. The Shin Megami Tensei series is fucked up. That's straight up retarded. It's one of those things where every single ending is canon. Anytime you have a series where, like, you have multiple endings and then they make a sequel and it's like, oh, that ending was canon. No. All of them are canon. And this ending leads to this game, and this ending leads to this game, and this ending leads to this game. Oh my goodness. So, like, Persona was an offshoot of one of the Shin Megami Tensei games into that timeline, and then Persona 2, literally the core, like, the point that happens, if you think of Persona 2 Innocent Sin and Persona 2 Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, whatever the fuck that was called. There were two Persona 2s. There were two Persona 2s. And just think of them as one game that's cut in half, like Digital Devil Saga. Digital Devil Saga is one game that they cut into two games, and that's the same thing as Persona 2. Persona 2 is a game that's cut in the middle by the world ending. Kind of like Final Fantasy VI, actually. If you remember how Kefka destroyed the world in Final Fantasy VI, and that just completely changed the entire game, and you're just playing it. I wish more games would do that. I wish more games at the halfway point would go, fuck you, you're playing a different game now. Because that's, if you interpret Persona 2 as being one game in two parts, that's kind of what that did. Persona 2, the first one, ends with the bad guy winning and the entire world gets destroyed. But then Persona 2, the second game, starts with the entire world kind of getting reconstituted, and the resolution of that story is this is a new reality. It's not the same world that the rest of the Shin Megami Tensei series, even in all of its myriad timeline shenanigans, it's not the same reality. It's a new cognition of reality, appropriately enough. One that exists without original sin. Because the Shin Megami Tensei games are always very biblical, very Judeo-Christian overtones and themes and characters showing up, obviously. Although in the Shin Megami Tensei series, like, all religions are true. All of the gods from all of the religions and all of the mythological creatures from all of the mythology all exist in the same universe. But, like, Christianity won. So that's why that's why Yahweh is like the ultimate, and Lucifer, Satan, those are two different characters, by the way, is also the ultimate in terms of like law and chaos. But then, like, which one is it? I think it's the first game. I think Shin Megami Tensei 1 ends with you killing God, and that just throws the entire thing into a kerfuffle. Because like Shin Megami Tensei 1 starts with a nuclear apocalypse. Like, someone drops the third bomb on Japan, and Tokyo gets blown up because of Japan. Just Akira, fucking. That's the anime version of it was a dark and stormy night. Is Tokyo blew up, basically. Like, nukes got dropped, the world ended, hell on earth happened, and then you go kill God. And killing God fucks up the entire thing. Because then God still exists, but he's dead, so therefore all the other gods are able to, like, kind of crawl out of the woodwork and start imposing themselves on humanity again, because there's a power vacuum. Sort of. It's really complicated. Shin Megami Tensei series is fucked up. But anyway, so obviously, if God is real and Christianity is correct, that means humanity has original sin. We have original sin. That's from the Bible. Cain killed Abel, which in Devil Survivor, you play as the reincarnation of Abel, and the villain is the reincarnation of Cain. Well, that's a whole nother story, by the way. Oh, man. Humanity has original sin, and that just makes us unredeemable in terms of the villain of Persona 2. Because he's like, humanity is just always going to be inclined towards committing evil deeds because of original sin. And he's right. That's why he wins. He wins in Persona 2 and destroys the world because he's right. Humanity sucks. We have original sin. But then you recreate reality, and now humanity doesn't have original sin anymore. And we're living in this new existence. Persona 3 and 4 all take place after Persona 2, completely in a different world and reality from the rest of the series, because the world ended and was reconstituted, and now it's a completely different thing. But the thing is, like, that's where the conflict of the next couple Persona games come from, is because we're aware of it. we know that something's wrong. There's like, humanity is kind of inherently broken because we don't have original sin anymore. And we're kind of aware that we're not living in the right place. It's like in Discworld with Terry Pratchett. Discworld is an entire separate reality, and whenever someone from our reality, the real world, gets into Discworld, they, like, the longer they spend in Discworld, the more it's impossible for them to return to the real world, because Discworld is a fictional story and it follows narrative progression and character interaction, and that makes more sense to the human brain. Like I've talked about this before, Joseph Campbell, our brain contextualizes reality as story. So when you're in a story, it just feels more correct than actual reality, which is just a jumbling, hurtling mass of chaos and energy where everything is completely random, or, chaos theory, a result of things that occurred beforehand but that are unobservable and untraceable. And that, like, we just can't fucking handle that shit in terms of the universe of Discworld. So in terms of the universe of Shin Megami Tensei, that's what it's like in Persona. We know that this is wrong. And because we know that this is wrong, we're fucked up in a completely different way. And that's where Nyx comes from. And that's where Izanami comes from. They show up and they're like, no, humanity wants to die though. Look, see, they want to die. I'm fulfilling the wishes of humanity. I'm the hero giving the people what they want, and you're the bad guy for resisting me. And, yeah, that happens in Persona 3 and Persona 4. It's almost like that's kind of a staple of the true villain in the Persona series. Like I said, you expect it to do the thing that the previous Persona games do, but it does it in an unexpected way. Video games happen. Anyway, so that's where, like, the core conflict, that's me reading it between the lines and in the context of the Persona series' place in the wider SMT timeline, by the way. There's nothing in the games themselves that says what I just said. That's complete conjecture on my part. Don't go around thinking that the games say this. Is my brain going, oh, that's I'm making fucking connections in my head. There's nothing in Persona 5 where they go like, nah, remember that time the world got fucking destroyed and that's fucked up? But then something happens at the ending of Persona 5 that makes me go, did they roll that back? Did something happen? I don't know. Maybe you could, let's just say that when you're putting Persona 5 on the timeline of the SMT series, you can draw a little arrow from the ending of Persona 5 and connect it back somewhere else. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And, could be. Could be. Maybe things have been... maybe. I don't know. Anyway. That was like, when that part happened, I was like, does that mean? I don't know. I was kind of like, I was wondering, though. That's what, I feel like, yes. I'm, like, not even explaining what I'm talking about. Remember in the part where, at the beginning of the Persona 5 video I did, the little blue butterfly flies by and it's like, what an unfair game. I was like, hey, Phil. Hey, Philly. I was referring to Philemon, in case you didn't know. Philemon is a character who was in Persona 2, who was, like, the anthropomorphization of the collective goodness of humanity.
And the villain was Narlatotep. And Narlatotep is the anthropomorphization of the collective evils of humanity. And the entire like conflict of Persona 2 was they placed a bet. And they were like, is humanity inherently good or humanity or inherently evil? Which one of our beliefs is true? Although SMT takes place in that kind of works on that rule set that like gods exist because humanity believes in them, and the more we believe in them, the stronger they are. So the more humanity is collectively good, the stronger and more prominent Philemon is, and the more humanity is bad and collectively shitty, the stronger Narlatotep is. Like at the end, they go, okay, good game, GG, GG no re, and just leave. And Narlatotep and Philemon just go because they had their fun. But Philemon still sticks around as a blue butterfly. In Persona 4, the save game location is a little blue butterfly. That's flopping around, and that's Philemon, keeping a watch over things. And also, Igor is explicitly an agent of Philemon. He's kind of like, Philemon's like, hey, I'm going on vacation, you hold down things here. Like, Igor's kind of like the substitute teacher while Philemon's on vacation. And that was another cool thing that happened in the ending, by the way. So when the blue butterfly fluttered by, I was like, hey, Philemon. And that is what made me think, like, are they gonna fucking tie some things up about what happened in Persona 2? I don't know. And they definitely didn't go, here is Philemon. He was a character from Persona 2, and he's here to explain how the world got destroyed and then recreated. They don't do that, which is good. But if you know things about what happened in Persona 2, you can draw your own conclusions, I guess. I'm certainly drawing my own conclusions. I'm certainly going, But anyway, enough nerd shit. I was very enthralled, like, from beginning to end with this game, because it started doing a thing. Okay. I started doing a thing where I was like, what are they doing with this? And then they did something with it, and I was like, I was wondering what they were going to do with it, and then they did it. And that thing ties into the wider theme of the game, which, again, is very extroverted. It's an extrovertization of the exact same theme from Persona 4, which is mass proliferation of the media, lies perpetuated by the media, and public opinion, and they really, like, it's all about the internet, and that really makes it feel like this game's too real. This game is too fucking real, man. You play this game and you're like, this is happening in reality, and I can't handle a video game that I'm playing that has a fucking demon sitting on a toilet being this fucking real. This is some real shit, man. And to me, it's about, like, good intentions being corrupted by public expectations. That's what it comes down to, because you start out being the Phantom Thieves, and you start out wanting to reform society and get back at those shitty adults that fucked up your life. Generational divide is also a very big theme in this game. All of the villains in this game are child abusers. That is a very explicit thing. The, like, conflict between children and adults is very prominent throughout the game. And something I'll talk about more later. Running out of time on my phone. It's like, you start out with good intentions and wanting to be a hero and change the world for the better, and by becoming a hero and doing that, you become famous, and people start imposing their expectations and their views of you onto you, and that can corrupt you a little bit. And I very much enjoyed that element of the story where it's like you start out having good intentions, but then it goes to your fucking head and you get lost along the way. And you get like guided off the path, but then you realize your mistakes, you get back on the path, and that's when the conclusion of fuck everyone else, just do what you want comes in, which is of course always the theme in Persona, where it's like fuck everyone, do you, and this handled that in an externalized, extroverted way with in regards to like fame, and I thought that was a great game. Playing video games, Persona 5, very good. 100 hours. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm looking forward to having dreams that aren't turn-based battles again.